Oh, are we live? Is this a fake video? No, this is not a drill. This is not a fake video. This is not a recording. Yeah, I'm live. I'm live and we're talking wrestling. Oh, man. Oh, give me 1 second. Sorry. I'm getting too caught up. Anyway. So, yep. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitz on TV here, aka G-Lauren33. I am back here tonight with an episode of the Legit Shoot podcast for you guys here tonight. And we are going to be talking about SummerSlam 2022. It feels weird because for so long, uh, for those who have been, subscribed to this channel for years, I used to do this every single week. And then the last episode of the podcast was, I think it was the night after WrestleMania. I believe so. I'm not going to go check, but I believe that was the last time we did an episode of the podcast. So it's been basically 4 months, over 4 months, because it's about to be, August. It's been about 4 months since I've done an actual podcast, and for a good, 3-4 years, this is what I would do. I'll give you guys podcasts on every single day, and then I've stopped doing that because just because my enjoyment when it came to wrestling had just fallen down, right? And I know a lot of you guys like, yo, Fitz, we wanted your opinion on the Sasha Banks and Naomi situation. I could have easily made videos on that. I could have easily collected the views and the subscribers and everything that came with that. I could have done videos the last couple weeks about Vince McMahon and him being, finally leaving WWE. Something, I spoke about in great detail on this podcast for years. For years, I said that, Vince had to go. And that the day it happened, it would be celebrated as, one of the biggest and greatest days in WWE history. Then that Triple H, the day Triple H got to take over creative, right? How great a day that would be. And all that happened the last 2 weeks. Not only did Vince retire, but Triple H got his old job back, taking back NXT, right? And then Triple H finally, the thing that I had been dreaming about for years, Triple H finally taking over creative fully. Now he's in full creative control of the main roster and NXT, and it is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, and I could have easily made videos on that, but I chose not to. And I have all the faith in the world in Triple H, because this is what I wanted for half a decade since 2016. Since 2016, I've been wanting Triple H to take over, and here we are 6 years later, and he has finally done that. But I knew it wasn't going to be easy because Vince McMahon and his yes men, John Laurinaitis, Bruce Pritchard, all those yes men D riders, they made such a mess when it came to WWE's creative scene that it was not going to be easy for Triple H to just come in and fix things. It's gonna take time, right? I didn't expect, at least last week with the first Raw and SmackDown of the Triple H creative era. I didn't expect too much because it's gonna take a little bit of time for real change to take place, right? But you saw some different things in Raw and SmackDown this week, just little things, right? And I know I haven't been doing podcasts, but my mindset has been it's going to be after SummerSlam. That's when you're going to start seeing more of those big changes being made. And then I read reports that Triple H wanted to make a creative splash at SummerSlam this weekend, and he more than just did that. SummerSlam was an awesome show. If I'm being honest with you guys, I have not been watching WWE pay per views. I've mainly just been watching highlights and then going back and watching matches that I want to see. But and I didn't watch SummerSlam live last night. I'm recording this on Sunday night. I didn't watch SummerSlam live. I didn't watch Money in the Bank live. I haven't watched any WWE pay per view live since WrestleMania. And but I did go back and watch SummerSlam today. This was the first WWE pay per view I've watched in full since WrestleMania, and it was a great show. It was a great show. And the thing about it is, remember, a lot of this show was booked by Vince. Remember, because a lot of these storylines were storylines that were started under Vince's direction. That's why, SummerSlam is such a big turning point, because SummerSlam is your WrestleMania of the summer, right? And now, the way I look at things, once SummerSlam ends, you start the build towards WrestleMania right then, right? Everything that we get from here on out should lead to WrestleMania. And I know, yes, that's 8 whole months away, but that's the creative mindset you should be having. And you see a lot of storylines, and this week on Raw and SmackDown, as they start building towards class of the castle, right? In 5 weeks in England, you're gonna start seeing new storylines take place, and this is when you're gonna really see, Triple H's the start of Triple H's creative era, right? You saw a little bit of that, and we'll talk about that when we get into the actual show here in just a couple moments. But you're gonna start seeing really the Triple H vision of what he wants for WWE creative come to place now, and it's really exciting because you got to see a little bit of that on SummerSlam. Now it's just gonna grow because we know how great Triple H is, and I am just so excited now. This is the most excited I've been about anything WWE wise in years. I only have one request, right? And you guys probably already know that request without me saying it. I said it on Twitter. I just hope, and I can, like I said, I can make videos on this. But I just hope Triple H is able to somehow get Sasha Banks back. If Sasha chooses not to come back and we don't see her wrestle until 2023 in Japan or AEW, whatever, all right, it is what it is, and that's Vince's fault, for blacklisting her. I wouldn't. No one's gonna blame Sasha if she doesn't want to come back, even with Triple H in charge, because Sasha and Naomi stood up for what they believed in, and the company basically tried to erase them from history. And I blame that all on Vince. I blame that on Vince entirely. I give him all the blame for that. Because if Triple H was in charge, first off, that situation never happens. Plus, Triple H would have managed it a completely different way. All right. And I see Dakota Kai come back last night at SummerSlam, and that gets me excited. This gives me hope that maybe, just maybe, there's a chance that we can get Sasha back, because we know how much Sasha loves Triple H, right? And I think there's a chance. I don't know if it will happen, but that's really my only request. If Triple H is able to, please get Sasha back, because I'm so excited now for the future of WWE from a creative standpoint, especially when the way the women's division is now going through changes, right? You got Bayley back, you have Dakota Kai, Io Shirai is on the main roster finally. There's so much talent now. Just the Raw women's division alone has so much talent. It's gonna be exciting to watch and see how that division takes shape now with Triple H leading the creative charge, right? And then on SmackDown, you have Ronda Rousey turning heel and all these other things, right? I'm on the bet probably Charlotte's going to be back soon. I would it would hurt not to see Sasha be a part of this, because there's so many cool storylines and matches now that you could do if Sasha was to come back, and I feel it would just be a waste, But like I said, I would not blame Mercedes if she doesn't want to come back to WWE, even with Triple H in charge. But if Triple H can convince Mercedes to come back, right, it would be absolutely amazing. That's all I want. That's really all I want. But I'm gonna fix my camera. All right, I'm gonna pull up the SummerSlam reviewing results from Bleacher Report. And like I said, SummerSlam for the most part, it was a very very enjoyable show. Very very enjoyable show. Um, Even though the match card, a lot of us spoke to it. This was probably one of the least hyped SummerSlams of all time. First off, SummerSlam was early this year. SummerSlam usually always takes place at the end of August, but I guess with the Clash of the Castle show, right, and then they're making that show such a big deal. They moved SummerSlam up to the end of July, which they never do. They always have it in August, right? Plus, if we're being honest with ourselves, the card itself was weak. I did not like this card going into it. Um, and if Triple H had been in control the entire time, like going into SummerSlam, I think this card would look a lot different. But with Triple H's direction, it was still a very, very enjoyable show. Very, very enjoyable show. Very good matches. Lots of cool moments. Epic returns. The main event itself, as much as you guys know, I hate the Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar story or feud or whatever you want to call it. Um, it was it was one of the best main events that I've seen this year. It, if I'm being honest with you, it might be the best Brock and Roman match they've ever had. And like I said, I had no care for this match going into it. No care. You like the story was, they've done it. The death. I'm tired of seeing them against one another. Right? Like they're gonna make documentaries. Probably 5 to 10 years from now about how Brock and Roman, one of the greatest rivalries in WWE history. Like prepare yourselves for that. They get like, you've seen the WWE rivalry series like Triple H and Shawn Michaels, John Cena and The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon, you know, Undertaker and Kane, etc., etc., etc. They're gonna make documentaries about the Brock and Roman rivalry and try to make people believe that it was one of the best rivalries ever. It wasn't, you know. They had enjoyable moments, right? I think their first match, and hopefully this is their last match ever, right? I think those are the matches we're gonna remember most, because Brock and Roman WrestleMania 31 with the Seth Rollins cash in. That's a fantastic match. That was their first match, and then a lot of the stuff in between was but then this match, even though no one cared about the build going into it, the match delivered. It shattered their WrestleMania match by a mile. I kind of wish this was the match we done, or I wish this was the match they did at WrestleMania, because holy shit, we like if they had done this match at WrestleMania, we may be talking about one of the best WrestleMania matches ever. Like, cause this when we think of the best SummerSlam main events, so the some of the best last man standing matches, this is gonna be in the conversation for that. Take the story and everything you didn't like about it out of it, and that's what I had to do because you guys know I had no care for this match at all, or for the story or anything. I am just so done with Brock and Roman, like. But if you take all that out of it and just watch this match for the match, right? It was absolutely awesome. It was absolutely awesome. I've actually already seen the match twice today. I watched it last night when I got home. Cause I didn't watch SummerSlam live, and I watched it again earlier today. When I was rewatching the entire SummerSlam card, and it's just fantastic. And I gotta give the credit really. I think Michael Hayes was the director for the match, right? Or the producer for the match. And I gotta give credit to Brock Lesnar because, yes, sure, Roman's great at what he does, but thing is, Roman, in this match, Roman didn't really do that much. He did his normal stuff, did his Samoan drop, his Superman punches, his spears, right? He brought the aggressiveness, but it was Brock who carried this match. Brock carried it with all of his creative offense. The freaking tractor was absolutely insane. When Brock came up with the tractor, it reminded me of Stone Cold Steve Austin. And when he would come out with the beer truck, right? And he just sprayed Vince and Rock in the corporation and beer and Budweiser. right? It was wacky. When he first brought it up, I thought, all right, he's just bringing out this to bring it out. But then he stands there like in the freaking uh in the tractor as they're introducing him, right? The moment where he freaking throws the mic and Roman catches it and winks at him, that's hilarious. You know, then he picked Roman up in the tractor and dumped him in the ring, and then he moved the ring with the tractor, and of course the moment that everyone's talking about, uh, Brock freaking lifting the ring, like 14 feet in the air with Roman in it, and then Roman just freaking sliding down it like it's like a freaking water slide. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen, right? And then legit, it looked like a demolition derby out there. Brock carried this match. The story at the end, right, with Roman needing everybody to help him just to keep Brock down because Brock just kept getting back up, using the titles, using chairs, the double super kicks, Austin Theory, Money to Break briefcase, right? Then having the freaking bury Brock using freaking equipment from ringside. Right? The story was amazing, right? Brock F5ing Paul Heyman, that was awesome. That was basically a whole year in the making, right? Heyman sold it beautifully. Uh there's like everything about this movie, especially the last 10 to 15 minutes. Because this match went close to 30 minutes. The last 10 to 15 minutes was just freaking epic. It was epic, And I gotta also give credit to Michael Cole and Corey Graves on commentary. They freaking killed it, especially Michael Cole. Michael Cole has been, look, I've said it for years. I've never been the biggest fan of Michael Cole, but ever since like he was the commentator I grew up with, right? Since I was born during the Attitude Era, but I was just a little kid, so I grew up with Jerry the King Lawler and Michael Cole as my commentators. But I've always said that JR is the best announcer of all time. But ever since Michael Cole teamed up with Pat McAfee, he has been great. Like Pat McAfee has brought Michael Cole to another level, and I don't know if they're just if Michael is just given more freedom now, especially now that Vince is gone. Because I've heard stories how horrible Vince was to the announce team, and he would just be screaming at them during the middle of the show whenever he didn't like what was going on. I don't know if this Triple H is giving Michael Cole more freedom there, but Michael Cole was amazing on commentary. That last night, especially during that main event, that might have been Michael Cole's, and I'm being serious when I say this, that might be Michael Cole's greatest commentary performance. All right. I think of the one at WrestleMania 30 when Daniel Bryan beat Batista and Randy Orton in the main event. That was great, right? The Miracle Kid. Bryan did it. I remember how great that was. But Michael Cole was on a whole nother level last night. The emotion that he was bringing to this match, especially when Brock just, wouldn't stay down, right? Uh, like Michael Cole's yelling, like, don't get up, Brock. It's not worth it. Or he's like, count faster, ref. Like, Michael was amazing on commentary. And Corey Graves was good as well. I'm not the biggest Corey Graves guy. I love Pat McAfee. And it would have been amazing if Pat McAfee was out there calling this match. But still, the commentary was great. It added a whole nother element to this match. And then it was an awesome last man standing match, an awesome way, and I hope this is finally the last time we'll see Brock and Roman going at it. But still, the awesome stuff there. As much as I didn't care about the story or the match going into it, the match itself delivered. It really did. And you know, definitely this is what I wish we had gotten at WrestleMania between these guys. Really, but still, it's a great way to end their rivalry. Hopefully, this is finally the end of Brock and Roman, like nothing more. But still, uh, it was great. Brock, he's adapted this babyface role so well. Roman's is great as the heel. I gotta give Roman credit. As much as I kind of want his title reign to end, he's becoming, the longer it goes, the bigger a star he becomes. And he's just on this alpha level of like being a star now because of this title reign. You know, he really just feels like every time he comes up, it feels like the final boss of a video game. His music, his aura around him, the slow walk, everything. As much as it annoys me, if I'm being honest, it's still the guy's a star. The guy is a star, and you feel that every time he comes up. No matter if you're there live or if you're watching at home, you can feel it just watching through the TV. He oozes superstardom. He is a star. And as I'll keep saying, as much as I hate the Brock and Roman feud, the match delivered, and that's really all that matters at the end of the day. But yeah, I see a lot of you guys are active in the chat. Mm-hmm. All right. And yeah. I'll mention Drew McIntyre just very quickly. Look, I'm like, now that Triple H is in charge, one thing we have to remember is the way that Triple H views some superstars. It's going to be completely different than how Vince did. The reason why Roman's been champion now for 2 years is because, like, Vince was a dick rider for Roman. It's that simple. Vince loved Roman. That's the reason why Roman's been, pushed as the top guy from the Shield ever since 2014, right? And the reason why Roman's been champion for so long is because Vince has this had this obsession with him, right? And like I said, I'm not saying that Roman's not great, but a lot of Roman's success, if it's not for Vince being his ultimate backer, there's no way that Roman has the type of success he's been having, right? I don't know. And the thing is, the dirt sheets, whenever Vince didn't like a guy, all right, or whoever Vince liked and wanted to push, or whoever Vince didn't want to push, you would know that just by reading the dirt sheets. We don't really know that about Triple H. I don't remember even hearing that all the time in NXT about who Triple H wanted to push, who not, and who he didn't like, right? Excuse me. You more just had to watch the show and see where the story was going. I don't know how Vince or how Triple H feels about all the guys in the locker room. The NXT people, yes, I can because most of those people are Triple H's guys. He built them up through NXT, and then a lot of those guys once they got to the main roster, Vince ruined them. That's why so many of those guys are now in AEW. If Triple H was in charge a couple years ago, you think Aleister Black, you think Adam Cole, you think Keith Lee, you think those guys are in AEW? No, no, and that's I'm not blaming Tony Khan. Like, yes, I would sign those guys too, but I think now with Triple H in charge, you're not going to see as many people just rush over the AEW like they were before, right? And I don't know how the AEW contracts are set up. I would assume that most of them are probably long term deals, but I don't know that what the actual details are. I know Tony Khan said in an interview that for a lot of these guys, a lot of these guys they're signed for like 5-6 years, right? Some of these people won't be free agents till 2026, 2027. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if he's capping. Like I said, I don't know. You know, because you don't see a lot of superstars sign those super long deals. A lot of superstars sign like four-year contracts. So because if they're not happy creatively, it allows them to be able to leave and go somewhere else. So I don't know if that's true, but I do think now with Triple H in charge, you're not going to see people flocking to AEW like they had in the last couple years. All right, and it just pissed me off because Vince let so many talented guys go. So many talented guys go. just because he was so out of touch, right? Triple H is not out of touch at all. He's the guy we've been wanting to be in charge for so long, and now he's back. Now he's finally in the position that we wanted him to be for all these years. And the thing about it is, it's gonna be what's interesting is I don't know how much Triple H will change storylines, because Drew McIntyre, right? Drew McIntyre is going to challenge Roman at Clash at the Castle. That's such a tongue twister. And um, if it was up to me, it's the way there's so much talent now. If it was up to me, I liked it better when the titles were separate, right? I liked it when you had one championship on Raw, one championship on SmackDown. All right, I don't know if they're gonna end the brand split fully. I have no idea what the plans are, but if I was in charge, I would have Drew win the WWE title. Notice I said the WWE title. I didn't say the undisputed title. I said the WWE title. If it was up to me, I would have had Drew win the WWE title at Cast the Castle, and then move him over to Raw with that championship, and then have Roman continue to be the Universal Champion on SmackDown, and then I would have him hold that title till WrestleMania, and then drop it to Cody, who should be back by then. That's what I would do. But like I said, I don't know what the plan is. Yeah, that's probably not gonna happen. They're probably gonna keep the titles unified, but I don't know. Like I said, at this moment, I don't know what Triple H is gonna do. I don't know how he specifically sees things in comparison to like how Vince did. I just know Triple H has a much better creative mind at this stage of the game than Vince did. Okay, uh, and yeah, you know, after watching that match last night at SummerSlam, I don't know make any uh how you can make an argument that Drew's gonna beat Roman after seeing what Roman just went through. But we'll just have to see. Uh but that's this is the way I'm looking at things right now. But you know, look, Drew has not been champion in what 2 years now. Like when was the last time Drew was champion? Well, I can't even remember. Last time Drew was champion was like a year ago. It was last February. Gotcha. Yeah, that's what it was. It was last February. If you guys remember, it was last February when they were still in the Thunderdome when he lost it to the Miz. Now I remember. And the thing about it is, I said Drew at that time. Drew needs to take a break from the title scene because he had been in the title scene for the better part of like what, a year and a half, 2 years. So and people were kind of getting a little bit, a little bit stale with Drew. People had gotten a little bit tired of seeing him. So Drew needed a break. But the thing about it is Drew's been out of the title scene now ever since that for well over a year because of Rome, mainly because of the Roman Reigns agenda, or Roman dominating everybody. So Drew's gonna get this title shot at Cas of the Castle. I would love to see him win, but if it's for the undisputed championship, I don't think so. That's why I would do it for the WWE championship and then have Drew take one of those titles from Roman, right? But at the end of the day, I don't make the decisions, but that's what I would do. If it's clearly just for the undisputed title, Roman's most likely gonna win, and that would be that. But the way I see it, I would much rather have those titles separate on each brand, especially with the amount of talent that's on each brand now, especially with Triple H being in control. Uh, that's the way I would do it, but I digress. Um, but let's get into some of the other stuff that happened on the show. Let's get into the actual SummerSlam card itself. All right. I'm gonna hold on. I need to turn on my AC. It's freaking blazing hot. I'm avoiding the line, brother, just not. Can someone stop the noise? But anyway, all right. So the show started off with what was it? Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. This was pretty much announced earlier in the day by every single outlet. It wasn't surprising because you wanted a banger match to open up the show, and we all know the what's it called? We all know the chemistry that Becky and uh, Bianca have, right? Plus, the stories there. The 26 seconds from last year at SummerSlam. It's crazy to think about how it's already been a year since that, but you also have to remind yourself that they did SummerSlam a little bit earlier this year. But of course, so much has changed in the last year. Both of these women are bigger stars now, right? And look, I gotta give Becky her credit as well. You guys know that I am not a big fan of the Big Time Beck's character. I didn't like how it was portrayed on television. But I'm not gonna sit here and not act like Becky's not a star, right? And not one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. I definitely think like Sasha and Asuka are better. You guys know this, but we know when Becky's in there with the right opponent, she does amp her game up significantly, and she has, especially over the last year, she's had a lot of classic performances, a lot of classics, and it would be dumb for me to sit here and not give Becky the credit she deserves. Bianca continues to get better and better. She's truly become a star, right? I think Bianca has now really elevated herself to the point where she is the conversation of being the best women's wrestler out there. Even though I would, of course, like I just said, I would put Sasha and Asuka ahead of her. But Bianca has grown so much over the last year, where you can't deny how great Bianca is. She's truly elevated herself. She continues to get better, and she's young too. Like if she chooses, she's gonna be doing this for such a long time, and she's already done so much at her age. She's just gonna continue to get better and better. So, like I said, this was the perfect match to open up the show for SummerSlam, and they killed it. Of course, you knew they were gonna kill it, right? These two have fantastic chemistry with one another. The real thing was this match gonna be able to surpass? Was this match gonna be able to surpass their WrestleMania match? Which their WrestleMania match was spectacular, right? Uh, you know, it was a great it was really really good. That's the way I gotta put it. This was really really good. And I'm just gonna skip to the ending. I'm not gonna analyze everything with these with the matches on the show unless I need to. Near the end here, Bianca did a Spanish fly, and then hit a beautiful KOD to get the win. Right afterwards, Becky offered her a handshake and they hugged and embraced. So basically, whenever that happens, that means that the heel is turning babyface. Right, that shows sportsmanship. Right, and yes, it was basically revealed afterwards that Triple H made the call for Becky Lynch to be turned back into a babyface, which I have no problem with whatsoever. Right? If we're being honest, Becky should have never been turned heel to begin with. When she first came back last year at SummerSlam and they first turned her heel, it was shocking to all of us, you know. And at first I was like, okay, I'll see where this goes, right? But then I didn't like it at all. I complained about it. I hated the freaking ridiculous outfits. I think Becky as a heel, it's just not her thing, you know. The first time she turned heel, way back when the man character was born, you know, we went with it just because we were happy to see Becky at the top, right? To see Becky at the top in the women's division. But then we were like, no, we need if Becky's gonna be at the top, she needs to be a babyface. And then they did turn her babyface. this last run that Becky had, Becky's basically been a heel now for the last year. Uh, fly in my room. I didn't really like it. I think there was so many cringy moments that came from it. I'm not. But if you go to like the matches themselves, Becky was great. She put on some great matches with Liv Morgan and Lita and Asuka and Bianca, right? But and Dewdrop. But for the most part, uh, I just wasn't a fan from the character perspective. I think Becky was trying to way too hard to be something that she's not, and the crowd still always wanted to cheer her, right? So Becky turning back into a babyface, I have no issue with that at all. We'll see what kind of babyface she is. Will she go back to being the babyface character she was when she was the man? If it's like the babyface character she was when she first became the man, that's the Becky I want. When she first turned into the man, right? When she was that journey when she was first trying to beat Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. That was the Becky we all loved, right? The leather jacket, the man shirt, the coolness, right? That's the Becky we liked. It was not till afterwards that I feel like it got more and more cringe, because her stardom, skyrocketed, and then I didn't like it. She started to have this. She changed. That's the way it was. She changed, and she wasn't like the same character that we all fell in love with, and that's when I started to dislike Becky. But Becky, she's naturally a great babyface. It would just be interesting to see how she acts as a babyface now, right? I know she's not the man anymore. She goes by Big Time Bex. But, if she's still wearing those stupid, wacky outfits and stuff, that's going to piss me off. But definitely, I think her turning back to a babyface is where she needs to be. Bianca's going to be the top babyface in the Raw Women's division. Like, that's fine. No one's complaining about that. And, especially now, you saw Ronda Rousey turn heel earlier, later in the show. Most likely, what this is building towards is probably be babyface Becky versus heel Ronda at Mania next year. And if I'm WWE, I would book that as a one-on-one. It doesn't need to have a championship on the line to work. I think this is the right way to go. You got Bianca be the top babyface as the champion for now, and then you got Becky be the second, the second top babyface for the women's division, right? And then you slowly build towards Becky and Ronda at Mania next year, and then we'll take it from there. But that's what I would do, and I think Becky turning babyface again is the right move for her going forward. The fans want her to be a babyface. They never wanted her to be a heel. It was Becky that wanted to be a heel, and I'm glad that Triple H, finally came in and shut them down. Like, no, you're returning you back to a babyface. Enough of this. We're gonna give the fans what they want. So I did really like that to open the show. Oh yeah, the other big thing, of course, Bailey is finally back. It's been well over a year since Bailey's been gone. Bailey is finally back. Uh, she got injured last June, right? Remember, the report said she's been ready to come back since WrestleMania. I thought she was gonna come back after Mania. She didn't. But she finally came back. She got a huge pop, well deserved pop, right? She still, has that music, which is still kind of cringy. But she now has her hair dyed. It's not black anymore, it's brown, which looked good. I love the fit she was wearing. And she is, for now, it seems like she's still going to have that same heelish character. But she wasn't the only one to come back. She came back with Io Shirai, who's going now by Io Sky. I'm still probably gonna call her Io Shirai, but came out with Io Shirai, who was finally now on the main roster. People have wanted her on the main roster forever now, and she finally is, which is awesome. right? And she came back with Dakota Kai. If you guys remember, Dakota Kai was released by WWE not too long ago. Now she's back. I don't know. I haven't read the dirt sheet. I don't know how long she's been back. But yeah, how ironic is it that the second Triple H comes back? He brings back Dakota Kai as well, and we all know Dakota from her NXT days. Triple H loved her in there; she was amazing, and we were all, a lot of us were heartbroken when Dakota Kai got released, and it just shows right away just the change in philosophies with Triple H and Vince. You know, Vince was so out of touch, and I will keep saying as many times as I had to. He was so out of touch these last the last decade, or last at least the last half decade, right? Let's be nice. But now he is gone, and Triple H is bringing a whole different philosophy, and he understands a lot about what people want, and just seeing Dakota Kai back, made so many people happy, and it's what we want. Dakota Kai should have never been released to begin with. Now that she's on the main roster, she's gonna have bangers with so many people. It's gonna be absolutely amazing to see. Because Dakota Kai is so good. At what she does. The fact that she never won the NXT Women's Championship, right? Still hurts my heart to this day. And remember, she won the NXT Tag Titles, and only held them for like what was it? It was the shortest reign in history. Um, but I'm happy she's back. I'm happy Triple H was able to get her back because I honestly thought she was probably gonna end up in AEW. But no, she's back. And she's now in a heel stable with Bailey and Io Shirai, which is awesome. And funny story is Vince McMahon rejected the idea of Bailey having a stable. So that doesn't show you how out of touch Vince was. I don't know what will. Because freaking why the hell would you reject Bailey having a stable? Especially with Dakota Kai and Io Shirai. Like, no. Bailey coming back as a heel and now having, Dakota Kai and Io with her, she's gonna be a force to be reckoned with. And I love it. I love it. I'm very excited for Raw to see what Bailey's gonna have to say, right? What made her want to start this stable, that's exciting. I don't know if they're gonna have Bailey feud with Bianca right away. Because if they want to, they easily could do that. Even though really would be a repeat of Bianca's Raw Woman or Bianca's SmackDown Women's Championship reign. Because remember, after Bianca beat Sasha last year at WrestleMania, um, they had Bianca feud with Bailey, feud with Carmella, and then before losing the title to Becky, right? They've already had Bianca feud with Carmella, feud with Becky, and now if they have her feud with Bailey, it would be a repeat reign, but I don't think people would complain as much. I still want to see personally Bianca versus Rhea Ripley, but now there's just tons of options. There's tons of options now of what you can do with Bianca, right? Bianca versus Dakota Kai, Bianca versus Io Shirai, Bianca versus Bailey, Bianca versus Rhea Ripley, Bianca versus Alexa Bliss. There's so many different directions you can go, right? And now, if WWE wants to, they can finally do a Bailey and Becky feud. That's like the one four horsewoman feud that we haven't gotten. Like, but for all the years, remember Bianca, Bailey, the four horsemen, they've been on the main roster now for 6, 7 years now, right? Even though Sasha's not there right now, but uh, they've been on the main roster 6, 7 years, and they've never done a Becky and Bianca feud. Not Becky. They've never done a Becky versus Bailey feud. So if they were to do it now, especially since Bailey's probably going to be on Raw, right? People are gonna die for that. People are gonna want to see that, So lots of excitement. I'm so happy that Bailey is back. I'm super excited that she has Io Shirai and Dakota Kai with her in this heel stable, and I'm very very excited to see where they go with this. definitely cannot wait to see what they have in store for us going forward. The Raw Women's Division is looking like straight fire. Bianca, Rhea, Becky, Bailey, Io, Dakota Kai, and then you have Alexa Bliss and Dewdrop and so many other names. The Raw Women's Division is stacked. I'd even mention Asuka, right? Raw Women's Division is absolutely stacked right now. So definitely, if you're a fan of women's wrestling, Monday Night Raw is going to be very, very exciting to watch going forward with Triple H at the helm. We'll see what happens with SmackDown. I hope Sasha comes back and is put back on SmackDown, because SmackDown Women's Division is very, very weak now compared to what Raw's Women's Division has. But still, a lot of exciting stuff here, and I'm very, very happy that Bailey is back, man. Very, very happy. And very, very exciting stuff going forward for the women's division. So there we go. Oh, someone told me to put my mic volume up. Gotcha. All right, let's get into some of the other stuff on this card. Oh, yeah, I forgot to say, super chats are open. I don't tell you guys, you guys have to donate or anything like that. But anything, of course, as always, anything you guys do donate, definitely gets reinvested into the channel. But anyway, let's get back into it. I'm gonna turn off my. So next up, we had The Miz versus Logan Paul, and what was I gonna say? The Miz came up with Tommaso Ciampa and his wife Maurice. I think one thing is, how long will Tommaso Ciampa be in this thing with the Miz? That's one thing that I want to know. I can tell right away. Ciampa's is doing his job, right? But I think Triple H, and knowing Ciampa, I think I don't expect that to last forever. Ciampa's way too good to just be playing lackey to the Miz, right? We know how much Triple H loves Tommaso Ciampa, so I would not be surprised. Not maybe even tomorrow night, on Raw. I would not be surprised if Ciampa and Miz are set to have a breakup soon. Ciampa's too good. Ciampa should be a single star. I think sooner rather than later, Ciampa is gonna go off on his own, and then Triple H is gonna start building up Ciampa to be a huge star on that Raw roster. But he was out there with the Miz tonight in his corner. Logan Paul came out. And what I would say, this was a good match because of Logan Paul. Miz did his job, of course. Miz, the whole point, Miz was there to put Logan Paul over, and as the veteran and everything like that. But Logan Paul, what could Logan Paul bring here in his first singles match? When you're in a tag team match at WrestleMania, yes, of course, WrestleMania, tons of pressure, but it is a tag team match, which does make it a little bit easier, right? You have someone there helping you. In a singles match, it's you and your opponent, and I gotta give Logan Paul credit. Like Logan Paul or hate him, the guy can wrestle. The guy can wrestle. I believe, if I'm right, he wrestled in high school growing up when he was in Ohio. If I think so. But thing is, Logan Paul has no business being this good at for somebody that's never had a singles match in WWE before. Never. He didn't go to NXT. He didn't go to any other promotion. This was his second match and his first singles match at freaking SummerSlam. And the guy freaking stole the show. Yes, he's definitely very green in the ring. There's still some things he needs to learn about an actual wrestling match, right? Because a lot of what he does is just moves and stuff like that. But his athletic talent is ridiculous. He's only like what is he, 27 right now? But he is insanely talented and athletic. And he's taken a wrestling so easy. We talk about Bad Bunny and what he did at WrestleMania last year. What Logan Paul's doing, and what the moves he was pulling out. It's just insane. The frog splash he did to the Miz when on the announce table was insane. Like the fact that Logan Paul has that athletic ability to jump, that like, and it was a clean. It wasn't like he only hit a part of Miz's body. He landed on the Miz perfectly. Like I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? Logan Paul has no business being this good already. But still, this was a good match because Miz knew what he had to do as the veteran to put Paul over, and Paul is just insanely good, way too good for someone who's only been in the ring once, in WWE. But um, later in the match, AJ Styles came out to attack Ciampa. Uh, there was a point where Paul actually did Styles' phenomenal forearm, right? But Paul was able to get the win when he hit the Miz with his own skull crushing finale. And I think even if you don't like Logan Paul, you definitely have to have a little bit more respect for him after to last night. And definitely, I saw some people cheering for him, and he was getting a lot of positive feedback on social media. So I don't know how often Logan's gonna be wrestling. He's definitely it's kind of probably he's not full time, right? Or anything like that. Of course, he has tons of other things going on with his career, but if he's gonna be wrestling, at some big shows and things like that, uh, look, if Logan wanted to do this full time, he could. He really could. He'd definitely be a full time wrestler if he wanted to. He has a lot that he needs to learn. I think we all know that, but the guy has the talent to be a full time WWE star, and he could be a big star really if he really wanted to. Just lots of little matches you could do with him. What I want to see? I kind of want to see Logan Paul versus Pat McAfee. That was one thing I was thinking of. I would love to see Logan Paul versus Pat McAfee. I feel like that would be a really really fun feud, a really fun match if they chose to do it. But still, either way, this was great, and shout out to the Miz for doing his job, and shout out to Logan Paul. This was a really really enjoyable. So Logan Paul wins by pinfall. Yeah. Hold up one sec. I got a text here. Anyway, okay. Next up we had Bobby Lashley versus Theory for the U.S. Championship. I'll give them credit. They've done a really good job of making Theory one of the most hated heels out there. Especially since he basically just pisses people off, right? And of course, a lot of Theory's success was because of Vince McMahon, right? How much of that will change now that Triple H is in charge? I don't know. We do know Triple H was high on Theory when he was in NXT. But basically, we knew that Theory was making a lot of rivals on TV, from Brock to Roman to Lashley. The list goes on and on and on. And of course, Theory, he was losing a lot of matches. But when you are the Money in the Bank winner, it doesn't really matter how many matches you lose because you can easily reverse all that simply with the Money in the Bank briefcase and winning a title. But um, but I didn't really care about this match too much, uh, because I think we all knew that Theory was not gonna win this. Right, he didn't need to win this match. Especially because he has the Money in the Bank briefcase. I think they did it just to have it on the card, right? Uh, and this match was very very short. It was, I don't even think it reached. It was like a little over 5 minutes. Uh, Lashley dominated Theory for the most part, even though Theory attacked him before the bell rang, but yeah, Lashley hit him with the Hurt Lock, and he retained his title. So Lashley stays U.S. champion. You guys know I do want Lashley to be in the main event scene, right? I do want Lashley to go after one of the world titles, but of course, for Roman holding both titles, that's hard. I'm still, I don't know why they haven't done a Lashley and Roman match yet. I don't. Yeah, I feel like that would be pretty damn awesome. I'm happy they're doing Roman and Drew now, but I feel like a Roman and a Lashley match, that's a moneymaker right there. I don't know if you want to say that for later in the year or maybe do it at the Rumble, something like that. But Roman versus Lashley, I feel like that's a match that they have to do. Especially Lashley is insanely over right now, and of course with Roman being the dominant champ, that's one of the few Roman matches left that I feel like would people would really die for. But I don't know. Uh, there's a lot of people you can have Lashley face for the U.S. Championship. Well, it'll be interesting to see who that they put in line for Lashley, but I would like to see him have an actual rivalry with someone for that championship going forward. I was gonna say Seth Rollins, but Seth's still feuding with Riddle, But I don't know. Let me know. Somebody in the chat. Let me know who you guys think Lashley should feud with for the U.S. title going forward. Give me guys your thoughts. But yeah, Lashley retains. Uh, Lashley retains his title by putting Theory in the Hurt Lock. Moving on, we had the Mysterios versus the Judgment J, right? And of course, I believe this was a no disqualification match, right? Uh, but yeah, what was weird is yes, I love a no DQ match. I love that. But if this was a no DQ match, why didn't they just make it like a tornado style match? They were still doing tag ins and tag outs, but with no DQ match, usually that means no rules. So I don't know why they just didn't make it like a tornado style match, but so it is what it is. They had Rhea Ripley at ringside, who definitely uh who got involved. This was you're like your high flyers versus powerhouses, right? So this was very very fun. There was a point. I love there was a point where Dominic was on the apron. Rhea comes up from behind him and just slams him, which was great to see. I love when Rhea gets involved, the slamming guys. And of course, the big thing from this was the return of Edge. Right, they've been hinting at it with the vignettes and everything from the last couple weeks, and he finally did make his return. He came out with the Broad music, and he had the flames, right, and he looked really really cool with the jacket and everything. He came out full babyface mode, and he ran out to the ring, hit Priest with a spear, hit Balor with a spear. That allowed the Mysterios to do a double 619. Then Rey Mysterio, hit a splash and then got the win. So Edge gets some payback on the Judgment Day. So I'm guessing that's going to be the feud going forward, right? Edge is going to try to get payback on Balor, on Priest, make their lives a living hell for what they did to him. I do want to see if tomorrow Edge is on Raw tomorrow night. I haven't seen any preview. I don't know what the plan is, but if I'm them, I'm very interested to see what Edge says in his promo because you know Edge got kicked out of the Judgment Day and he was a full heel, right? And then he comes back last night at SummerSlam and he's full babyface again, right? So I want to know what kind of explanation Edge is gonna give, you know, because he turned his back on the crowd. He said he kept calling them sheep and everything like that, and now he gets kicked out of Judgment Day, and then all right, he's full babyface again, you know, pandering to the crowd and everything. So I do want to see what Edge is gonna say on Raw and try to explain that. I'm a guy who kind of cares about explanations. Make it make sense. Don't don't try to insult my intelligence. You know. So it was good to see Edge back. Uh, he looked terrific. I do kind of wish he came out with his original theme, right? On this day, I see clearly. Uh, but we'll see. We'll see if we get that in the next couple of days. Uh, but I'm glad he's back, and we'll see what happens with him and the Judgment Day going forward. Next up, we had Happy Corbin versus Pat McAfee, right? I don't really need to explain the story going into it. Right? What was funny, and you guys know I love Pat McAfee. I absolutely love this guy. I think he's awesome as a commentator. I think he's awesome in the ring, right? Corbin came out. And basically, Corbin's job is to put people over. That's what it is. He's the snarky heel. That yes, he can wrestle, but he's really only there to put people over. Like how many big wins does Corbin truly have in his career? He has what a couple U.S. championship victories, but look at the story of Baron Corbin's career. His job is basically to be the heel that puts people over. He doesn't win many big matches, uh, even though he's always put in different situations. But you know, he doesn't win many big matches at all. You know, he's just there really to put baby faces over, and then that's exactly what he did in this match. McAfee is over as hell. I love his new theme song. I think it's absolutely awesome. When Corbin was coming to the ring, there was they had a choir sitting in the stands, calling him bum ass Corbin, which was fucking hilarious. I loved it. Right, they just stopped playing Corbin's music halfway through, and then he had to walk to the ring with the choirs calling him bum ass Corbin. Which that was awesome. McAfee came out, of course. McAfee is insanely over. And Michael Cole definitely made it known that he was going to be biased towards his friend McAfee and broadcast partner during this match, which annoyed the hell out of Corey Graves. What I will say, this match was very, very sloppy in terms of the wrestling. Like they did big moves, but there was a lot of small little botches and mistakes. I know Chris Jericho went off on a podcast recently talking about how he hates when people talk about botches, but I understand, of course. Mistakes happen, right? It's live TV. Uh, but this match was definitely very, very sloppy. There was lots of, there was messed up spots here and there, but I still enjoyed the match for what it was. McAfee hit him with a super kick out of nowhere to start the match going. He did a Hurricane Rana as well. But this wasn't really a wrestling match. This was more of a fight with just big spots. They did there was a spot later on the match where McAfee did like a swanton from the outside onto Corbin, which was great. There was also a point where Corbin was beating McAfee down at ringside, and then he was just talking shit to Michael Cole, and then he just shoves Michael Cole down, which was kind of funny. He just based off Michael Cole's reaction, he's like, well, leave me alone. Just focus on Matt, focus on Pat, right? So then, Pat did a beautiful looking superplex on Corbin. Then near the end here, uh, the ref Charles Robinson got taken out, so that allowed McAfee to hit a low blow, right? Payback for what Corbin did to McAfee on SmackDown a couple days ago, and then Pat did a sunset flip. It was a sloppy sunset flip, but still he did the sunset flip and was able to roll Corbin up to get the win. So McAfee gets the win. It was an okay match. Like I said, it was sloppy at a lot of different points, but is what it is. And think this was not. This definitely wasn't as exciting as what Pat did at WrestleMania in that match against Theory, right? But it was still it did its job, right? I love Pat McAfee. I think he's over his shit, right? And I definitely want to see him get used more. Definitely the crowd loves him. McAfee he has the full package. He can cut promos. He can wrestle, right? And I do hope they do more with Pat going forward. I would love to see them build like a huge WrestleMania storyline for him next year, like a story that starts at the Rumble and carries all the way to WrestleMania. I don't know who you would have Pat face, but I think definitely make it fun. Like I said, maybe Pat McAfee versus Logan Paul. I said that earlier. That would be potentially something wacky and exciting, but that's just the way I see it. All right. Uh but yeah, hi Raleigh, or I'm gonna, yeah, your name's Raleigh. Uh I love that we have viewers watching from all around the world. Thank you guys as always for your support. There was a small, there was a point where Matt Riddle came out, right, and of course you guys all knew that Riddle and Rollins was delayed. Uh, they said it was via storyline, but really they're just saving the match for the UK show, in about 5 weeks. I'm surprised. Uh, Seth has a huge catalog of great matches at SummerSlam. From his match with Edge to the match with Dominic Mysterio in the Thunderdome a couple years ago, the John Cena match, the match with Brock Lesnar, the match with Dolph Ziggler for the IC title. Seth has an epic catalog of matches at SummerSlam. So it did feel a little bit weird for one of the most consistent superstars, right? Seth does not get injured that often. Outside of that ACL injury he had back in 2015, he has been very, very durable, right? It just felt weird for not to have Seth. Some people are calling him Mr. SummerSlam, right? It just felt kind of weird to not have Seth on the show, but still, I would have probably done something like Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, because Styles didn't have a match on the show as well, but still, they just did a small segment where Riddle came out, saying that he, even though his match was postponed, he was not going to back down, and so he called out Rollins. Rollins comes out, and there's a funny ass meme, or that people have already made of Rollins just running down the ramp, and you just see a bunch of WWE officials and like Adam Pearce, trying to chase after him and stop him. Rollins and Riddle started brawling in the entryway, right? Then they got into the ring. The officials were stupid because instead of stopping them, right, they just surrounded the ring and were just yelling, like, get in the ring and stop Riddle and Rollins. Why are you yelling at them? You just surround the ring. You don't do anything, right? So they're legit yelling at Rollins not to stop Riddle, right, per storyline, because Riddle is already injured, but they allow Rollins to curb stomp Riddle, which was like some of the most ridiculous nonsense ever. I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And then of course Rollins left the ring afterwards, and that was the end of the segment. But I was like, sometimes, man, WWE makes people look so stupid. It drives me bananas, like for real. I'm like, what the hell? All right, but that was that. Uh, but it was weird seeing it was weird not seeing Roman Reigns or not Roman Reigns, not seeing Seth Rollins have a match at SummerSlam. I've gotten very used to it over the years, right? But it is what it is. Um, but yeah, we'll see how that continues going into Class of the Castle. My bad. So next up, we had the Usos versus the Street Profits for the undisputed tag titles, with Jeff Jarrett as the special guest referee. Street Profits came out in Tennessee Titans, like apparel, since they were in Nashville, right? I feel bad for the Street Profits. They are so good, you know, one of the best tag teams in the world, you know, and they prove that. But the thing about it is WWE with the Roman agenda and the Bloodline agenda, right? You know, the Bloodline holding all the gold and everything. You know, Street Profits, they're not gonna win those titles just because WWE's not gonna take those titles off of the Usos. The Street Profits should have at least held the tag titles at least once, you know, but they've lost so many tag title opportunities just this year. They've had like what 3 this year against RK Bro early in the year. Now they've lost to the Usos like at 2 straight pay-per-views. You know, it's like ugh. And turning them heel is not gonna do anything. I've known some people like, oh, they should turn the Street Profits heel. No, you don't. You don't have to do that. The Street Profits are way over as a babyface team. They are loved by the fans. They are great at what they do. It's just that they're in the era of the bloodline. That's it. You know, there's no tag team that's gonna beat the Usos. There's no tag team. You know, as long as the Roman agenda is being pushed, the Usos are part of that agenda because of association. So as long as Roman's champ, Usos are gonna be champ. It's really that simple. I would have no problem with the Street Profits winning the titles at either Money in the Bank or tonight, at SummerSlam. But WWE's not gonna do that. Not gonna do that because of the Usos and the Bloodline agenda. So it's unfortunate for the for uh for the Street Profits, right? But it is what it is. It is what it is. But this match itself was another banger, right? So Montez Ford tagged in, and there was huge spots. And it doesn't matter how many times we've seen this match, they always put on bangers with one another. Usos were able to take Montez Ford out by throwing him into the crowd. Then they finished hit Dawkins with the super kick, and then they hit him with the 1D. And like I said, this would have been a perfect night for the Street Profits to win, but the unfortunate bloodline agenda. So this should be the end of the feud, right? And hopefully now with Triple H is in charge, tag team wrestling actually gets more of a focus going forward. Because, part of the reason why we've gotten the Street Profits and the Usos so many times, and the New Day versus the Usos, because there's really just not many teams. There's not many tag teams on both rosters, right? So what I would do, I think next, I don't know, did they do the Mysterios versus the Usos last year at SummerSlam? If I'm correct, they may have. I think they did. I think it was for the SmackDown Tag Team title. I think they did the Usos and the Mysterios last year. So maybe they can go back, um, if they want, and do that feud again, right? Relive it. But I don't know. I don't know who's next. Who's next that you have challenged the Usos? So yeah, they yeah, it was last year that they did that match. So I don't like I said, I don't know, but like I said, now that you have Triple H is in charge, we knew go back to the prime NXT era when you had the revival, right? FTR, you had freaking AOP, you had the Undisputed Era, so many great tag teams. Hopefully now, with Triple H in charge, tag team wrestling does get more of a focus once again, because the Usos need teams to face, and we know how great tag team wrestling can be on WWE. Triple Vince didn't have much care for it. Triple H is not Vince, all right. Triple H is not Vince, so hopefully we'll get more of a focus on tag team wrestling now, with Triple H at the helm. Now people are like, "Oh, I would like to see Montez Ford turn on Angel Dawkins." I hope not. You know, if you want to give Montez Ford a singles push, I'm all for it. But you don't need to break up the freaking Street Profits to do that. Like, let's be smart here. Let's be smart here. Okay. But yeah. And lastly, since we already talked about the main event, Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I know I didn't do a Money in the Bank review, but I was super happy to see Liv Morgan win Money in the Bank and also win the SmackDown Women's title in the same night. I think if anybody deserved it, it's her. I think Liv Morgan is awesome, and definitely one of the more underrated players in the women's division. She has gotten better and better as time goes on. I think the biggest fear though was she was facing Ronda Rousey, right? And Ronda Rousey, her name speaks for herself. So going into this, I think we were all terrified. Is all right. Yes, Liv finally got the moment that we've been wanting. People have wanted to see Liv become champ now for so long, right? And we finally get that. But is this going to be just a 2-3 week fairy tale, right? And we're just going to be brought back to reality with Ronda as champion, or are they gonna have Liv beat Ronda again? And as he validate Liv and make her look like a star, right? That was a big thing. And going into this, if I had to take a pick, right, I was gonna pick Ronda Rousey. That's just the way it is. But Liv did retain here. This was a short match. It wasn't a very long match, of course, because the main event itself they gave that it was like 45 minutes. Because you had the promos, you had Roman's long ass entrance, and Brock had a long entrance as well because of the tractor. Uh, so they gave the main event all the time in the world. Uh, so this wasn't long. This was like what 7-8 minutes, I think. I don't even know if it reached the 10-minute mark. But it wasn't terrible, but it was not anything special at all. Uh so and my thing is, was this gonna be I was thinking going into it like, is this gonna be a quick match or is it gonna be a long match? Like what's the deal? How are they gonna do this, right? So Logan was a very Logan Morgan was aggressive right away, right? But hit or Ronda hit her with a running knee and a quick throw. Uh, but Liv countered with some punches and kicks, but then Ronda hit her with another kick to bring her down. The thing about it is, Ronda kept going for the armbar again and again, but Liv found different ways to counter or escape. Right, so Liv had a plan. If I can, stay out of touch of her, if I can stay away from her armbar, right, I have a chance. Ronda then got more and more frustrated the longer that she couldn't get the armbar in, right? And near the end of the match here, Liv did get trapped in the armbar, right? But she was able to reverse it into a pin as well. Ronda's shoulders were down, so the ref counted, but uh, but Liv tapped out at the 2 count. So technically, since Liv tapped out before the 3 count, Ronda was should have won the match and should have regained the SmackDown Women's Championship, right? So of course you get a controversial finish there, but the ref didn't see it. The ref didn't see it, as Michael Cole and Corey Graves did a good job of clearing that up on commentary. So Ronda was very, very pissed off, and then she attacked the ref, and then she attacked Liv. She put Liv back in the armbar again, and then she put the ref in the armbar as well. Liv, after a little bit, she was still happy to be champion, but she was in a lot of pain. So basically, that's mean Ronda's turning heel. We talked about it earlier, how Becky turned babyface in the beginning of the show, and now Ronda's turning heel, most likely. I think this is exactly what Ronda needed. Ronda was not doing well as a babyface at all. She was cringe every single week. And I'm sorry, this run that Ronda has been a lot worse than her original run a couple years ago when she first came to WWE. She has just been very, very cringe. She hasn't had that many great moments as well. You know, like there's weeks where I have to remind myself that Ronda is actually on TV every single week, right? I don't think Ronda works house shows, but she is on TV basically every week. And she's been very, very cringe as a babyface. Very, very cringe. Okay, and this is exactly what she needs. Ronda's more comfortable as a heel, but uh, here's the thing: how is Ronda gonna be the heel that doesn't care? You guys remember when Ronda first came back? At first, she tried to be like, "Oh, I don't care about anything. I just want to whoop ass again," and it came off very, very poorly. We all got annoyed. I remember we talked about it on this podcast. It was very, very annoying. It seemed like she just didn't give a shit at all. She just wanted to do her segment and then leave. The way she was talking on the mic, the way she was acting like she was some kind of, you know, entitled bitch, right? And I hated it. I hated that. But as a babyface, she's just cringe. So definitely, if I had to take one or the other, I think Ronda as a heel is better. But at least act like you care. That's what I asked for. At least act like you care, and things will be fine. If she acts like she doesn't care again, and she's not trying in her promos or any of that other stuff, it's gonna get really, really annoying very, very quickly, and then it's just gonna be like no one's just gonna care at all, at all. Ronda needed the heel turn definitely, but at least don't go back to being the Ronda that doesn't give a shit about anybody. Like, please, that's all I ask for. Okay. What does this mean? Well, most likely they're gonna do another match with Ronda and Liv, right? I don't know if this would be at Cast of the Castle or whatever, but I don't want to see Liv lose that title anytime soon. I think Liv should have a significant title reign, right? And then you can build somebody up to take it from her. But if this is leading to Ronda taking the title from Liv in a couple weeks, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad because I want to see Liv hold that title for a while and then have some feuds, not just feud with Ronda. I want to see Liv get a chance to actually feud with some other people and showcase what she can do as a champion. You know, if this is all just for Ronda to get the title back, it's gonna be disappointing. I hope Triple H understands that. I'm very, very happy to see Liv in the position that she is, and she deserves it. So we'll see. We'll see where this leads. But I personally just hope that this 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 ends with Liv still as champion, because the feud's not over. There's gonna be another match between these two at some point. But I just hope that he's smart about it and they don't just give the title back to Ronda. That's what I hope. But we'll see what happens. But yeah. But other than that, we already talked about how great the main event was. If you guys missed that, just go back to the beginning of the podcast. But yeah, like I said, SummerSlam did its job this year. As much as the card and the build was kind of poor, and this SummerSlam didn't have a lot of hype into it, I blame that more on Vince than anything else. Triple H had to come in with like a week left before SummerSlam and then try to make things work, and he did his best, right? And the SummerSlam show itself was actually pretty enjoyable. Actually, pretty enjoyable. As much as I didn't like the build, the show itself was pretty enjoyable. And then after now that SummerSlam is over, now we can finally start to see where Triple H's vision and see where Vince wants, or not where Vince, see where Triple H wants to take the WWE creatively. Because I'm very excited. Just the little things that that Triple H did um does get me excited to see where they could potentially go with this. And of course, Bailey being back, Io Shirai being back, Dakota Kai is back. It gets me excited. It gets me excited, And so now as we turn towards Clash of the Castle, right? And now the post SummerSlam. It's gonna be interesting, post SummerSlam Raw and SmackDown. Usually we always get a couple of surprises. So definitely, I want to see what Triple H has in store this week, and that should be exciting. Like I said, if Triple H could somehow bring back Sasha Banks, that would be the cherry on top of everything. That's the only thing I want right now. I don't know if Sasha's gonna want to come back, but if Triple H can bring back, and if there's anybody that can get Sasha back, it's him. It's him, and I hope he can. But yeah, other than that, that's about all I got for you guys today. SummerSlam was a success. Definitely, I know it's been a while, and it felt good to be back. I didn't have to rant once on tonight's podcast. I am a little bit tired though, but no ranting tonight, and hopefully that will be the case going forward. I know you guys live for my rants, but with Triple H in charge, I don't think you're gonna get that as much anymore. But definitely thank you guys for joining me tonight here on the podcast. Definitely felt good to be back. Will I be back more consistently going forward? If I like where WWE is, if Triple H, and I have all the faith in Triple H, but if Triple H can make WWE enjoyable again from a creative standpoint, I will come back and do weekly podcasts. I'm not going to make any promises that I'll be here tomorrow night for a Monday Night Raw review. I will be watching Raw, of course, but if Raw is good and I enjoy the show, yes, I will give you guys a Raw review after the show. But that's only if the show is good. But either way, thank you guys so very much for joining me on this episode of the Legit Shoot Podcast. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you guys are new by hitting the bell next to my name, Fitz TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Follow me down on social media. The links are in the description down below. Thank you guys so very much. I will see you guys later. Stay safe and healthy, y'all. Peace.